Welcome to the Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with your host, Charlie Butler. This is where you'll learn to sell your home quickly and for more money. And now, the host of the Real Estate Show, the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler.
Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. Here on this last Sunday of August, I'm spending Sunday morning with the lovely Evie Barr from Waterstone Mortgage.
Well, thank you, Mr. Charlie Butler. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How's everything going for you, Evie?
It's wonderful. It's sad to say, but I'm looking forward to a 3-day weekend next weekend for Labor Day weekend.
I will be in, I'll be in Las Vegas.
You are always on the move. What are you doing in Vegas?
I'm there for research only.
Okay,
yeah.
Sure.
And those games there, don't they say for entertainment only? There's not really any money, is there? Yeah.
Is it research of like the blackjack tables or craps or roulette?
Yeah, I refuse to answer that on the
Okay.
I could probably I would get incriminated. No. You know, the thing about Vegas, people that don't go that probably don't realize you could have a great time and never gamble.
That's exactly right.
And while I do some, I don't a lot, but fabulous restaurants,
Yes.
world-class restaurants, great hotels, great shopping,
Just seeing all the casinos. I
Yeah.
mean, New York, or the Luxor, or even Caesars, or the Mirage, the wire show at the isn't it the wire show at the Mirage?
That's Bellagio.
Bellagio.
And then Mirage has the volcano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what, when we first started going, we used to stay at the Mirage. I think we're staying at the Wynn. I haven't stayed at the Wynn before. I've always heard how nice it is.
I think we might be staying there. We've got Derek Danks with us again this week. I think we're going to be staying there in January for our conference.
Yeah, that's when our national sales meeting is there.
So you'll have to tell us all about it.
Yes. I've got some friends who stayed there. We've stayed at the Aria a lot. We really like that.
Yes.
And but yeah, there's just, and for those that haven't been, Hoover Dam's nearby, Red Rock Canyon, there's a ton of stuff. Up in southern Utah, I have not been up there, but they say up there hiking, if you're into it's beautiful. So
are you flying or driving?
flying.
It's a heck of a drive. I've done it before. So
I've never actually drove it. I remember going out to California when I was maybe 11, 12 years old and with my parents, and it was like 3 days.
definitely. It's a great trip, though.
Yeah.
Something to be done once.
I remember my uncle, his car broke down in Kansas on a Sunday afternoon.
Oh, wow.
This is in the 60s now. When there nothing to, open. And Kansas, it is true how flat people say it is.
Yes.
You could see forever, And we found this mechanic at his house and got him, my uncle paid him extra to come work on his, it was a crazy story. But anyway, has nothing to do with mortgages. As Evie said, though, we have, again, that's back with us this week, the regional director for the state of Indiana for Waterstone Mortgage, Derek Danks. Well, that sounds impressive, you know it?
That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
For a little old boy from Evansville.
Absolutely. But Derek Danks is with us. He's one of the Danks that's not an attorney.
That's correct.
And although your side seems to went financial, because Derek's brother Dirk was long time though national and currently in charge of residential for United Bank.
That's correct.
And also Dirk and I used to go on golf trips all the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's a good guy too.
Not much of a golfer, though.
Huh?
He's not much of a golfer.
He can't be a better guy than Derek, though.
No, Derek's a great. They are both great guys. They really are.
Yeah.
And nothing. Although I don't know if I'd see Derek get as mad as I see Dirk. Wayne Ellis will not turn his phone off on the golf course. Dirk will get his backswing. I've seen Wayne's phone go off, and Dirk looks like a cartoon character. That red just comes up, and then I can't say what he calls Wayne here on the air, So, but anyway, gosh, we're just giving all kinds of competitors some time. We give Tucker Agent and United.
So let's talk about Waterstone Mortgage
and
instead.
Keller Williams and the Charlie
Keller
Butler
Williams,
team.
yeah.
But one of the things, just continuing from last week, from those that were with us last week, we were talking about mortgages, the difference in mortgage companies. But one of the things to dive a little deeper is technology. Is we've got, and I thought about this from the other day. Keller Williams announced that they were putting $1 billion into, as a billion with a B, into a technology disruption fund. So if there was some new technology that came along, they would be able to combat it. But, and I know Derek or Evie, whoever, I know you guys, we've got, I mean, on the agent side, we've got Zillow, we've got Redfin, we've got and there's all kinds of new products that are being funded. I mean, one of the things that amazed me, Zillow, for example, has made money one quarter in its history. Keller Williams has not lost, has made money, as far as I know, their entire existence, 30-some years. They're private, but it's estimated they're worth $2 billion is their market cap. Zillow's is $7 billion is their market cap. Made money one quarter. But I think Wall Street looks at them as a future. So Derek or Evie, how do you guys, I see the commercials for Quicken Loans and Rocket Mortgage and places like this. Is there a Zillow of the mortgage business out there?
Well, I don't know if there's a Zillow of the mortgage business. There's a lot of technology now, that's for sure. And I think that, you're either using it to leverage your business to make it easier on your clients, or you're not. And, I think Waterstone does a great job of introducing technology that makes it easier for the real estate agent and the client to interact with us. Simple things like everything used to be a phone call and a fax, and now Evie has a phone app that she could give someone in a text. She meets someone, she gives them the link to her phone app. You can apply online. You can take pictures of your pay stubs, your W-2s, any of the documents that you have. If you send them to her through that phone app, they get uploaded into your electronic file in our loan operating system. And it's one of those things where it makes it easier on the client. And anybody that's listening that ever did a mortgage, they know that they got called in the middle of the day. They needed 3 documents. Yeah. They got you may work somewhere where they don't let you use the fax. These days, we talk to clients, when you say fax, they think you're crazy. Like they don't know what you're talking about. We talking about a fax.
Hey, Derek, so the other day, true story, I'm listing a house, and my fax number's not even on our cards anymore. Because that's, that's how little it gets used. It's our phone, cell phone, and email. And it was an older gentleman, and nice house, but he said, well, let me I got some documents I want to fax to you. He said, what's your fax number? Drew a complete blank.
Right.
I use it maybe a half dozen times a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you think about from the standpoint of electronic signatures.
Yeah.
And, one of the other shows, Charlie, we talked about government regulation, and, I always tell this story that, and he's retired now, but a state senator came to me 7-8 years ago, and he wanted to refinance his property and another property. And one of the questions he asked me, he said, hey, I got a package from the credit union that is in Washington, D.C. about doing the refinance. And the package I got from the guy was 68 pages. And he says, is that going to be the same with you guys? I said, yeah. I mean, I said, the package used to be 57 pages on an FHA loan, but then you guys passed the Paperwork Reduction Act, and the package went up by 11. And he laughed, and then he goes, oh, you're serious? I'm like, right. I'm like, was that one of the committees that you're on? Because he's on the Senate Banking Committee. He's like, yeah. And the longer we talked, he's like, you're really having fun in this conversation, aren't you? And I said, well, yeah, I think that what ends up happening is a lot of the regulations have the best interest at heart when they start.
Yep.
But how it filters out into our business is a different deal. So most loan packages now, you've got 60 or 70 pages to sign. Some of them are redundant. Some of them say the same thing over and over and over. And the ability to sign those electronically, where you're clicking a couple buttons and they're there for your reference, makes it a lot easier on the client. So the days of sitting there signing your name over and over and over. And Charlie, you know this. Occasionally a client will say, hey, can I use a power of attorney at my closing? Right.
Yes.
It's like you can, but you've got to write this big long sentence out. I mean, people don't realize what they're getting into and how many documents they're going to sign. And I mean, it's quite.
I've
a
been power of
process.
attorney for a lot of investors, and
Right.
man, you talk about you're writing forever.
That's right.
Yep.
So technology has the ability to change that, right? So, I'm lucky enough at Waterstone that I get included in some of these groups where we're testing new technology and we're bringing new things to the marketplace. And, simple things like with Evie is that there are high points during the mortgage process that everyone needs to be updated on, right? They need to know loans submitted to underwriting, loans approved, the appraisal's here, title work's here, your loan's clear to close. There's milestones within the process that the sooner everybody knows, the sooner we can move forward and relax. So our system sends those updates out to everyone in the process, both real estate agents, our client. We can include a title company if we want. But the updates are not just an email. The updates are an actual video with little cartoon characters on it, and it puts the client's name on the cartoon characters, right? And they're informational. So
Right.
it's not just, hey, the appraisal is here. It explains to the client what is an appraisal and what isn't an appraisal, right? It's not your home inspection. It's, and the value that the appraiser came up with is not always exactly what the property's worth. Something's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? It is, but they got parameters to work within. The appraiser, he can't just come up with a number because that's what it's sold for. He's got actual parameters he's got to work within. But that video explains it to the client. So we use the leverage to get information out to our clients so that they can understand what's going on with the process and everyone can be on the same page at the same time.
And you talk about technology, something when Keller Williams set up this technology disruption fund, something Gary Keller has said, I've heard him say it before, that owns Keller Williams. He said, if in this day of technology, you've got to be willing to partner up sometimes with an adversary. You can't, so there may be
right.
other companies that you need to partner up with because the bottom line is they're coming after the dollars you guys make, the dollars we make for the services that we render. But on the flip side is, Derek, as we were talking off the air, all the studies show that people want a loan officer. They want to deal with a person. They want a real estate agent. They just want that person to be competent. Is what they want. Yeah, and they want that. I think that's the big difference. I think I know I'm not a fan of the regulations either, but it's too easy to be a realtor. It's too easy to be a loan officer. That's my feeling.
I think a buyer wants somebody that's going to walk through the process with them. They're going to be able to get in touch with. They aren't going to leave them a voicemail and then not hear from them for days on end. They know if they send them a text or, send them an email, they're always going to have a response. And one of the great things about Waterstone is we're very much team oriented. So like in our office, it's me and then Craig Hubner, who's the other loan officer, but we have our loan partner, Lori Glass. And I always tell all of my buyers, talking to Lori is exactly the same as talking to me. So that way they know if I am in an appointment, they can still discuss Lori, that we're all in the same loop and that they can get answers right away. Versus if you go through an internet-based mortgage lender, that mortgage lender might be all over it at the time they're taking the application because they want your business, but then it's going to fall off as soon as you have a purchase agreement.
Something I liked that I saw, and this was before you were with Waterstone, Evie, but when Derek and I probably first got to know each other, we had a little while, but we were doing some marketing together, and it was a newer internet company, and we were talking about this, brought leads, and I don't know if you remember this. This was our old office, and Waterstone, and you could have easily made this decision but Waterstone, they said, we're interested in this for some other thing. And they flew down like 2 or 3 executives
right
to look at that, to look at this. So, I mean, that was impressive, the fact that they took that much interest
Right. And so there's everyone in the industry, the leader, I guess you would call them, is a company called Ellie Mae from a technology standpoint. They own a software called Encompass, and that's the software that we use to do our loans. They service loans within that. And Waterstone is in the Ellie Mae Hall of Fame. We got inducted into it about a year ago. And a big part of that is all the technology that not only we've embraced through Encompass, but that we've added to their product and program, right? So occasionally in my group, I'll hire somebody from another lender or one of our competitors that has worked on Encompass. And I always tell them, okay, we're on Encompass too, but we're basically on Encompass. Our Encompass is like it's on steroids, right? It won't look like yours. And they get in, they see, and they're like, right, we have customized a lot of different fields in that to do things for us to make us more efficient, right? Mm-hmm. And, the term that I always go back to, and you talked about the technology surveys and all that and what clients are looking for, all the national surveys with clients say they're looking for a subject matter expert, right? That's the term they come back to.
A local expert.
Correct, because real estate is local.
Yes.
And what you know about a house that's for sale in Evansville is not always going to be the same as what you know about a house that's for sale in Bloomington, Indiana, or Indianapolis, or South Bend. So, I mentioned to you I'd just gotten back from Palm Springs in California, right? Well,
you're bragging.
I'm just bragging. It was nice. I can tell you this, if I lived out there in that heat all the time, I'd weigh about 135 pounds. But, a new construction home out there, you can't start a house out there for under $650,000.
Yeah.
And it's weird to walk in houses because, as you probably know, there are no basements.
Yep.
So, everywhere is different when it comes to housing. And, in their market, half the land is Indian-owned land. So you don't own the land. You're leasing the land and building a house on top of it.
If you tell them out there that, well, I got a full brick ranch, they think you're loaded,
right?
Because they can't afford brick out there,
right?
Yeah. I mean, for the prices they pay, they're not even getting brick,
right? Yeah, that's right. So when you're working with someone in the real estate business, you want somebody that's local. You want somebody that's been here for a while. You want somebody that knows the marketplace. And sometimes it's simple things like, hey, here's what's going to change in this area. And hey, within 4 miles of this area, a whole new retail area is coming in. All those informational things that you can know will benefit you as a home buyer because, hey, this is going to make this area nicer and this space is going to be more accessible or the schools are better, whatever it may be. Those are things you can't get when you're talking to somebody on the internet and the person you're talking to is not in Evansville, Indiana, may or may not be in the United States.
That's what I was just thinking, yeah.
So you might be talking to somebody that's in a country that home ownership is not even a concept, right?
Yeah.
So plenty of countries around the world where you don't really ever own your home. You may have a home that you make payments on every month. They may call it home ownership. It's not the same as we do here. So when you're trying to get information from that person, they're just reading off of a screen and giving you information that is generalized information and may or may not help you. So, you'll want to deal locally like everything else.
By the way, while you're listening to the Charlie Butler Show on 1280 WGBF, and also if those people aren't in the United States, maybe when they're done telling you about your mortgage, they can tell you how to fix your computer.
That's a possibility.
Because that seems like that seems like every time I get one of those calls, I'm pretty sure it's from.
To me, the aspect of talking to a mortgage lender through the internet is so terrifying because why would you just give over your social security number and birth date to someone that you can never sit in front of?
Yeah.
Who knows what they're going to do with it?
Right. And for our clients, it's one of the big strengths of Waterstone is that the mortgage company is owned by a bank. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of Waterstone Bank. They take security of your information very seriously. Emails are encrypted. There's not a possibility. Our firewalls that are up to keep people out of our computer systems are extremely robust. So, and when you're here locally, if you want to talk to Evie, you can go to our office and talk to Evie. You don't have to worry that the person you're talking to is working out of their home. And while they're talking to you, there's 16 people hanging out waiting for the party to start, and all your personal information's up on their screen. You have to take that, in the world we live in today, you have to take that stuff very, very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it's and it's, they can hack into our stuff, as you said. Waterstone has to go. They go after big companies.
That's correct.
Sure.
And because they know that we saw what happened with Target, and some company, they know they can get a treasure trove of information there very, very quickly. So we were talking about appraisals earlier. Are you guys? I know we're seeing this somewhat because the market has been so hot. Are you having maybe more deals that aren't appraising because maybe there haven't been the comps like in the comparables in the last few months?
No, I think the market's caught up with that.
We've had that a little bit.
You get that a little bit early in the year, but as the market heats up, comps start popping up around. And, for us, most of the lenders here use an appraisal management company, a third party they order their appraisals through.
Right.
We don't do that. So we have a panel that has a few appraisers on it. We use the same people over and over. And, I try to tell people all the time, we don't do it to get value. Like, back in the day in our business, people would say, well, I got my appraiser and he can get any value. Well, it doesn't work like that, okay? All the information is readily available for auditing purposes. So an appraiser's got parameters he's got to work within. But a good appraiser is good at explaining why he bracketed a value in a certain way. He's good at explaining why the value that the house sold for fits within the numbers that he has. And one of the ways that we get those good appraisers is we pay them the full amount for the appraisal that they charge. So with an AMC, they might charge $400 for an appraisal. That appraisal management company keeps part of their money. I look at it like it's no different than anybody else. I'm not getting better work when I'm paying you less. So,
probably not.
You know what I mean? You know how that works, right? So it's about quality. And we want appraisers that know their marketplace, that are thoughtful, and they also have the ability to call our appraisal department and say, here's what I'm seeing, okay? The house sold for this, but here's why. I don't have comps. Can I go out farther to get a comp? Can I go with a 4-bedroom instead of a 3-bedroom? And they can bounce that off the head of our appraisal department, and he'll say, yes, that's going to be acceptable. Go ahead and go that way. Now he's not throwing a dart at an imaginary dartboard and hoping it lands, right? So it helps the process. It makes it go smoother. It means less surprises for people, So there are things like that people run into in the marketplace.
So go ahead, Ed.
It just makes the process smoother, having that ability, because our panel, they're separate from the loan officers. So we're not stepping over any lines there that wherever they call Bob at the corporate office about an appraisal, they aren't asking me, the loan officer, anything about the value. So we're within our guidelines.
And so Derek explained to me, with all the regulations, and I hear some people, as you said, most people use appraisal management companies. Some don't. So what's the regulation there?
Well, and that's an interesting question, Charlie, is that everybody thought that there was some new federal law that required it appraisal management companies, but that's not actually what happened, right? I mean, I'll make it short. Like, it didn't happen because to require that as a federal regulation, that new law would have had to have gone through the Small Business Administration. And the Small Business Administration would have never signed off on a new law that takes $120 of a $400 appraisal charge out of an appraiser's pocket. Okay.
Good point.
They went through the back door and they got Fannie, Freddie, and Ginnie Mae that buys FHA and VA loans to agree. They all either wanted a panel at a bank, and the bank had to manage it themselves, which means they had to hire people to manage it and make sure that they were independent, or they had to use an appraisal management company. So, some places bought an appraisal management company. It gets you kind of where you want to be, but for us, your appraisers that are working with you as a lender are still getting less because now another company you own is taking part of their money.
Yeah.
So we don't do it that way. But there was never some federal regulation that said everybody has to use an AMC. So
okay, that's good to know. I mean, Let's switch gears a little bit here because we are going to run out of time. And a note I wanted to talk about, and Evie or Derek, either one, you guys have a great program for people, and it's there's a lot called Community Champions, and I know we've used it quite a bit, and I don't know if it's wide enough known down here. We've tried to get the word out, and also I use those cardboard cutouts that we've used. I scare people with those all the time.
Right.
I still got those. I put them around. I put them somebody's door the other day, and they walked in on a Sunday. I figured they'd find it on Monday. Whole office was dark, and they walk up, and there's that cop staring back at them through the glass on their door. But we've got these life-size cardboard cutouts of policemen and firemen. So, but anyway, Community Champions. Why is that? What's important about that program?
So for us, I mean, we developed the program, right? There's some sound-alike, look-alike programs around the country. This is Waterstone's program, right? We don't charge for it. We don't take money from the real estate agent. We don't share any of the discounts. And it's our way to give back to police, firemen, first responders, nurses, teachers, right? And they're the people that we consider to be the champions in our communities.
Right.
And what ends up happening is that we give a rebate on the closing, and so does the real estate agent, and the client can use that for closing costs. So it's a way for us to share and give something back to the fireman or the policeman and offset their closing costs for them. It's just our way of saying thanks to those people.
And it works with any loan program. So whether they're going VA, conventional, FHA, or USDA, it works for all mortgage programs.
Bobby, do you think we could get Dave Fields, the morning show host at WKDQ? Do you think we could get Dave qualified as a community champion?
Dave doesn't qualify for much, really.
Dave has been involved with the police and the fire departments at
I'm
times.
sure,
so,
but yeah.
Yeah, but probably
on a wanted poster.
Oh, so possibly Dave doesn't qualify. Okay.
Doesn't he have a feud with Billy Bolin? Dave.
Oh, yeah. Well, Dave thinks he's friends with Billy, but I think really Billy's just keeping an eye on him. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer, that type of thing.
So Billy maybe not as good as surveillance at Dave Wedding, because I'm sure Dave Wedding's watching him too.
Poor Dave Fields.
So a couple minutes left, Derek. What in wrapping it up a little bit? Someone looking for a mortgage. I mean, we kind of went over this, but what is the number one thing they should be looking for?
They should be looking for someone that they can trust, and they should be looking for a lender that has solutions. And that's who we are. I mean, Waterstone, I tell people this all the time, we're a solutions lender. We have more products and programs and different underwriting types than anyone in basically the United States. So when I say that, I think sometimes our competitors might say, well, but I could start listing off products and programs that most people don't have. And, for us, that's beneficial to the client because the client doesn't know. They want options. They need to be able to get a mortgage program that fits what they're trying to do and is beneficial to them long term. So here locally, if they're dealing with Evie, they're going to get somebody that they can trust. They're going to get somebody that's been in this marketplace that 100% knows what she's doing and that is going to have their best interest at heart. And that's what you're really looking for.
Evie and Craig are both great. So, you can call either one of them. And Evie, how can they reach you at Waterstone Mortgage?
Give me a call at 812-463-3199 or shoot me an email at ebar@waterstonemortgage.com.
Or to find that house, call so we can get it financed. Call the Charlie Butler team for residential or commercial, 812-499-7758, or see Butler at kw.com. And I think we are out of time. So I know Rush has got to be coming down the hall. There he is. Rush is so impatient getting in. So Rush is next. He's knocking at the door. We'll see y'all next week. Have a great week.
You've been listening to The Real Estate Show on WGBF AM with the guy who guarantees to sell your home or he'll buy it himself, Charlie Butler. Join us every week at this time to find out how to sell your home quickly and for more money. For more information, email cbutler@kw.com or visit charliebutlerteam.com.